Heyo, how's it going? Entropy here today with another video. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 reverse units coming soon in the near future that I will be looking forward to. So, what is reverse? If you haven't seen the keywords video, go check that out. It covers, the terms like reverse, quintet walls, brake rides, stuff like that we will be seeing very, very soon, starting from set 9. Anyways, reverse is basically, the form of corruption that Link Joker had over certain clan leaders and mascots. And generally speaking, this means they get cross rides, which is, a good thing for us players. But in exchange for its skills being locked behind the cost, that is to lock your own allies. So let's see which five specific ones I will be looking forward to, and I think will be the most game-changing out of the 15 or so that will be coming soon. Firstly, Broken Heart Jewel Knight Ashley Reverse. So the Jewel Knight archetype we haven't really seen yet, but it is part of the Royal Paladin clan, so we do know, roughly speaking, how Royal Paladins work. So Ashley Reverse skill is Limit Break 4, Caramas 1, choose one of your Jewel Knight rearguards and lock it. Choose up to one rearguard in your opponent's front row, retire it, and then you can search up to one card with Jewel Knights in its name and call it to the rearguard circle and shuffle your deck. In addition, it is also a cross ride to Pure Heart Jewel Knight Ashley. Now, Counterblast 1 to retire 1 is a pretty good skill. In addition, you actually get to search specifically for any Jewel Knight card from your deck you want. So if you need the grade 2s, you can call it the grade 2 for the intercept skills. If you need grade 1s for boosting, you can do that as well. And locking one of your own rearguards isn't that bad, especially in comparison to other clans, because as we know, Royal Paladin excels at superior calling, right? So the cost is generally less steep for Jewel Knights and Royal Paladins in comparison to other clans that lack these resource management skills. In addition, we all know how impactful getting rid of one of your opponent's intercepts is. It can help you seal out the game. And like locking one rearguard, I mean, in general, right? Talking about all the reverse units, it does sound pretty bad because you're betraying your own allies. But in the game, right? Like we have experience with the zero system. We know that sometimes you do need to hit your opponent's intercepts, and most of the time that does not require a booster. So locking a useless booster, and then calling out an extra rearguard that can have more utility, I believe is a really strong skill. And I mean, overall, the Jewel Knights archetype and the subclan, I mean, we will be seeing some of these cards coming soon to JP, probably around set 10 to set 11. But they have cards that generate crit pressure, and so actually Reverse kind of has a more defensive role. So what your other Vanguards had was crit pressure and more offensive capabilities. Actually Reverse takes a step back, and then does the retiring, the plussing, deck filtering, stuff like that. So it does give you such a versatile option in the Jewel Knights deck, and it is definitely something that will be an inclusion, definitely, moving forward. Next, let's look at Demon Marquee, Ammon Reverse. So Ammon is actually a card that we all should be really familiar with. It came out in set 3 of Vanguard 0, and it's double rare. It got buffed to 11k. Its skill got slightly adjusted, but it's still really good. Demon Marquee Ammon Reverse skill is Limit Break 4, choose one of your Dark Irregular rearguards and lock it. It gets +1 for each Dark Irregular in your soul until end of turn, and if you have 6 or more, it gets an extra crit. In addition, it's a cross ride, so cross rides are good. This condition is really easily fulfilled. We know how Soul Charge heavy Dark Irregular is. Not even requiring Counterblast 1, you just need to lock a rearguard. It's just much more sustainable than other lock or reverse skills there are. And we know how great crit pressure is. Comparing this card with other bosses in Dark Irregulars, I suppose there's a card called the Dark Lord of Abyss, something like that just came out in set 6 of Vanguard 0. This card has a lot of magnitude of advantages over that card. First of all, that card's a Persona Blast, so you need an extra copy of it. Ammon Reverse does not. it works by itself. That card's on a cross ride. Ammon Reverse is a cross ride. That card costs counterblast 2. Ammon Reverse does not need counterblast 2. So I mean, in general, Ammon Reverse is just much better in terms of card quality than previous support for Dark Irregulars, and with the lack of options, honestly, in Dark Irregulars, and the cost for selective soul charging that it currently needs, Ammon Reverse, as well as the support that comes with Ammon Reverse, will be definitely something that I will keep my sights on moving into the future. Next is one of my favorites, Blue Storm Karma Dragon Maelstrom Reverse. So Maelstrom and Aquaforce, this clan is coming out in set 7, getting a cross ride as well as more support in set 8, and so it is definitely something that global players might not be familiar with, but it is a force to be reckoned with. It's definitely top in the tier list. Anyways, this card skill is counterblast 1, choose one of your rearguards, rest it, and then lock it. When this unit attacks the Vanguard, if it is the 4th battle of that turn or more, you may pay the cost. If you do, until end of battle, this gets +5, +1 crit. And then at the end of this battle, the battle that this unit attacked, if it did not hit, draw a card and retire one of your opponent's rearguards. Also, it is a cross ride. So, I mean, let's just talk about the cross ride skill first. Maelstrom itself has a really strong skill. It has a cross ride in set 8, one set after Glory Maelstrom, which also has a really good skill. And now you have Maelstrom Reverse, which is also a cross ride. So playing a deck where you have 4 bases and then you have 8 cross ride options, we all know how valuable that cross ride is. I can't stress that enough. Just having greater consistency in reaching those cross ride numbers is pretty good, just by pure stat line considerations. In terms of the skill, Maelstrom Reverse is kind of like a mix between OG Maelstrom and Glory Maelstrom. OG Maelstrom skill is at the 4th battle you get to retire 1 and draw 1, so it's more about the advantage and plussing, while Glory Maelstrom is about generating that crit pressure in the 5,000 attack and then guard restrict, right? So Maelstrom Reverse is kind of like a mix between both worlds. I can argue that it's better because if you hit with that extra crit, you deal 2 damage, and if you miss, then at least you get to minimize your loss by retiring 1 and draw 1, and then you can you can reduce your opponent's offensive capabilities on their next turn, as well as set up your own turn and defensive plays by potentially drawing into PG or more other units that you want to play onto the board next turn. One thing to note for this card is that other reverse units, generally speaking, only need to lock one of your rearguards. For Aquaforce, it has an extra text that says you have to rest it, and this is because Aquaforce is their play is about getting to 4th attack, which means you have to rest more units. And so I guess this is a balancing mechanic. We will see if they keep that for Game Studio's design, because Game Studio does like to keep things simple. But yeah, I do believe that if they get rid of the rest requirement, it will become a really, really strong force to be reckoned with. Next is Cleanup Celestial Romeo Reverse. And this card is, again, Celestial is a new keyword coming to Angel Feathers, and it is a cross ride. But anyways, the skill is Limit Break 4, choose 2 of your rearguards with Celestial its name and lock them. Choose up to 3 units from your front row with Celestial its name and give them +5 until end of turn. And then the second skill is, if you have a face-up card named Celestial, Cleanup Celestial Romeo Reverse in your damage zone, choose one of your opponent's cards from your damage zone and put them into the drop zone, and then your opponent chooses one of their rearguards and put it into their damage zone. So this card's cost is steeper, locking 2 instead of locking 1, as you can see from the average reverse unit, I suppose. But you get compensated by giving your front row extra power. Whether that's valuable or not, it really depends on how you see it. Like some people say, oh, your front row gets extra power, maybe consider playing stands. I still don't think stands are that viable in the metagame, so I would stay away from it. But instead, you can think about it as like, Angel Feathers has a lot of like on-place effects, right? Like Nociel, and these have low boost power anyways, 6k boost. If you're going to lock them and your front row gets +5, that extra 1k doesn't really make a big difference. You're just going to hit that, intercept most of the time anyways, and those base numbers, 11k, stuff like that. So it doesn't really affect your play. Um, this card is honestly a trickier card to play with because the first skill isn't that great. The second skill, it has an extra restriction that you need to have itself in the damage zone, and by doing that exchange, right, you put one of your opponent's cards from the damage zone into the drop zone, and your opponent chooses one of their rear guards and puts it into the damage zone. While that's clearly a -1, you could be putting yourself into a situation where you're helping your opponent unflip a card. And while this is not that important in some like less counterblast heavy clans, in clans like when you're facing against Royal Paladins and stuff, where they don't even have like an unflipper, this could be to your detriment, right? Like they getting that extra counterblast, for example, if they have Blaster Blade, it means you get one less intercept during your defensive turn, and that could really make or break your game. So definitely a tricky card. I do think there's quite a bit of potential with it with this card. Angel Feathers is interesting clan, as we talked about in the Pro Recon video about the Sentinel update. You will be having a greater access to your damage zone in terms of options and resources because you will be taking more damage. And so, will this card see play? We will have to definitely see what happens. Next is School Punisher Leopold Reverse. And this is just, a reverse Leopold, buy one, get one free. So Leopold used to do a similar skill. You get to choose one of your Great Nature rear guards, it gets +4. At the end of the turn, it gets retired, but if you're limit break, you get to pull it back to the rear guard circle. What Leopold Reverse does is basically two of those skills. You lock one of your rear guards, unfortunately, but you get to choose up to 2 of your Great Nature rear guards, get the +4, retire skill, and then call it back from the drop zone to an open rear guard circle, as well as being a cross ride. So some people were talking about, someone was talking about, should I play Great Nature or Narukami? And I suggest playing, it really depends on how you look at it, but Leopold is definitely going to be relevant in, moving forward into the future sets. And we all know how resource management is important in Great Nature, and Leopold Reverse tunes that up to, a second notch. It literally doubles in that aspect. So, it looks really simple on paper, but having those combo chains with cards like Hamusuke or Stamps the Otter and stuff like that, you get these bonuses, your pluses, without really a lot of negatives. And so definitely something to look into. And surprise, surprise, I had to mention this card, Star Vader Omega Glenndales. This card is in the most broken card list. Another video that I talked about. And we talked about how Link Joker does these reverse skills and lock skills, but you have to think about the bigger picture, right? Like reverse, you don't really need to play it in their own clans, right? Like Luki is cool, but why play it in Pale Moon when you can play it in Link Joker and serve the big boss? So again, Star Vader Omega Glenndales has like a lot of skills. We'll just go through it really quickly again. Limit break 5 at the beginning of your main phase. If the number of your opponent's lock card is 5 or more, you win the game. It's the first time you get an alternate win condition, so that's really strong. How do you get to locking your opponent's cards to 5 or more? Well, that's the skills that we will see going, moving down the list. So the second skill is Limit Break 4. Counterblast 1. Choose one card with reverse in its card name and discard it. All of your opponent's lock cards cannot be unlocked during his or her next end phase. So, that's what we call an Omega lock, and losing that intercept and the front row attack and defense, it's just so important. And then constantly losing that for turn over turn will really destroy your opponent's strategies. Third skill is how do you even get the lock in the first place? When your unit with reverse in its card name is placed on the rearguard circle, choose one of your opponent's rearguards and lock it. And this ability cannot be used for the rest of the turn. So that means when you play out your Leopold reverses, you get to lock one for free. Calling, I guess, is a cost, but is it really though? So as we talked about, lock is just so strong, and getting that access to it by just calling out a unit is pretty good. And while you're like, wait, Entropy, I don't think you can mix clan. That's cheating. Well, Game Studio likes to favor their protagonists and antagonists, right? Like MLB, you can randomly play Blaster Dark in Royal Paladins, and so does Link Joker. Link Joker gets to have a continuous skill where all of your rearguards with reverse in this card name is also a Link Joker, and during your turn get power plus 4,000. And while this is continuous when it's on the Vanguard circle, I mean, just in terms of deck building, you just get to shove as many cards with reverse in its card name into your deck. So that's what enables Omega Glenndales in the first place. You are not cheating. But yeah, I mean, this card is the central point of reverse. He has, all the black rings, and like, the good thing is, like, a lot of these reverse cards actually support older cards. For example, Leopold gets Leopold reverse, so if you do get spooked or do play Leopold right now, you don't really have to invest too much to play Leopold reverse as well as Omega Glenndales, because you can still bring Leopold reverse into Omega Glenndales. Same as Marquee Ammon reverse. If you have Ammon anyways, you get to play an extra deck as well as bring Ammon reverse into Omega Glenndales. So I think reverse is definitely going to be pretty interesting. Nice that they decided to support old decks as well as old units, and make them more investment worthy, I guess, so to speak, moving forward in this game. So thank you so much. If you have any questions or stuff like, oh, I think this card is better, like, oh, I think Lucia reverse deserves to be on the list, well, tell me about it. I really did think about it. I mean, Lucia is it's a nice card. It has good support, but it doesn't really do much to the clan strategy overall, and locking a unit on Pale Moon where you really do need these empty spaces to do your combos is quite detrimental, I believe. I mean, there are other cards like Coquetous reverse, and there's other cross break rides in the game, like Vowing Sword Dragon reverse or Dauntless Drive Dragon reverse, and these cards are definitely worth a mention. But yeah, tell me what you're looking forward to. I will be linking the link to all the reverse units down below in the description box, and be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Check out my other videos. Give me some support. I really need it, and I really appreciate it. Everyone, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.